2 years ago, his career was a ghost story. A torn shoulder, a shattered jaw, a record that read like an obituary. The phone in his corner fell silent. The promoters who once chased him now dodged his calls. The roar of the crowd faded into a forgotten echo. Even his own trainer, the man who'd been with him since day one, looked him in the eye and said the words that no fighter ever wants to hear. "It is over, son. Hang 'em up." But how do you hang up a part of your soul? How do you quit when the fight is all you've ever known? He couldn't. So the world moved on without him, but he kept moving. Every night while the city slept, he owned the streets. No entourage, no flashing cameras, just the lonely glow of the streetlights painting long shadows on the pavement. His only training partners were his own breath, ragged and determined, the frantic rhythm of his heartbeat, and the steady, punishing metronome of his shoes slapping against the concrete. Each step was a defiance. Each mile was a promise to himself. He was a forgotten name, a trivia question waiting to be asked. Until the phone rang. It wasn't a headliner, not a big payday. It was a scraps of the table offer, a last-minute replacement. The main event fighter had pulled out, and they needed a body, someone to make the rising star look good. The kid across the ring was a phenom, young, fast, undefeated, with a hunger that could devour worlds. The pundits and the bookies didn't just predict he'd lose. They laughed at the idea of him even surviving. "He won't last a round," they sneered. The arena lights felt foreign, brighter than he remembered. The crowd's noise was a physical force, pressing in from all sides. The bell rang, a sharp, piercing sound that cut through the doubt, and the beating began. The kid was a storm, a whirlwind of leather and fury. He took jabs that snapped his head back, hooks that sent tremors through his body. He stumbled. He bled. His vision blurred. The first round felt like an eternity. The second was worse. The commentator's voice was a funeral dirge for his career, declaring the inevitable. He was on the ropes, a heavy bag absorbing punishment. And then, in the suffocating chaos of the third round, something shifted. A small, almost imperceptible change. He smiled. It wasn't a smile of arrogance, but of recognition. This place, this storm of pain and exhaustion, it was home. He'd lived here for 2 years, in the quiet darkness of his own private hell. The punches didn't scare him anymore. The pain was just an old friend, a familiar whisper telling him he was still alive. The kid's punches were fast, but they lacked the weight of desperation, the grit forged in failure. He started to see the openings. Tiny fractions of a second, the kid left himself exposed. He weathered the storm in round 4, using his experience to clinch, to frustrate, to drain the young fighter's explosive energy. In round 5, he started landing his own shots. Not flashy, but heavy. Thudding body shots that stole the air from the kid's lungs, a stiff jab that disrupted his rhythm. The crowd, which had been cheering for a quick execution, began to murmur. A new energy rippled through the arena. They were witnessing something impossible. The 6th round began. The kid came out aggressive, desperate to finish it, to put the old man away. He threw a wild haymaker, leaving himself wide open for a split second. And that was all it took. He pivoted, planting his feet, and unleashed a punch that carried 2 years of frustration, 2 years of lonely nights, 2 years of disbelief. It was a perfect right cross, clean on the chin. The undefeated star's eyes rolled back, and he crumpled to the canvas like a marionette with its strings cut. Silence. A stunned collective gasp, and then an absolute explosion of sound. The referee didn't even bother with the count. The arena erupted, but he didn't raise his hands in victory. He didn't climb the ropes or beat his chest. He just stood there, in the center of the ring, the lights washing over him. He looked up at the rafters, a quiet breath escaping his lips, and whispered to himself, a message meant for no one else but the fighter he thought he'd lost forever. Welcome back. This story reminds us that they can count you out, they can write you off, but they can't extinguish the fire inside you. Your comeback is always one decision away. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content that celebrates the power of the human spirit. We'll see you in the next one.